Hey, welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing a video I've been meaning to get up for a couple of weeks now. It's kind of just been floating to the bottom of my list. Finally getting around to it. I wanted to talk about 5 makeup techniques or trends that have really become popular in the past several years that I feel have been ingrained in society, or at least in the makeup world, that you have to do these techniques in order to make your makeup last or in order to just have a nice face of makeup. When in reality, a lot of these techniques are kind of time and place techniques and trends, and also preference trends. So yeah, just 5 quick things. I just wanted to kind of give you all a reminder, like, you don't have to incorporate these things into your routine. Especially, this is kind of going to be for those of you especially that are just like the everyday, just neutral, kind of natural makeup wearer. So practical video, let's go. All right, first trend, and I would definitely consider this to be a trend. We started seeing this becoming really popular, I would say around 2012, 2013. This was a very Kim Kardashian red carpet look, and that's buying or using under eye concealer that's 2 to 3 shades lighter than your actual skin tone. There is a benefit to this if you love, full on glam makeup, if you're into costume makeup, if you are a dancer, if you're someone that's going to be on stage. There's definitely a benefit to using concealer that is quite a bit lighter than your actual skin tone. But for the everyday person, this is where it kind of becomes a problem. A lot of people have discoloration or hereditary, dark circles, stuff that they would like to kind of be covered a little bit. And I think that, at least in a lot of people I've done makeup for, they really get confused with this whole bright under eye trend, where if they have dark circles, they're seeing on YouTube to buy a concealer that's 2 to 3 shades lighter than their skin tone. So they're doing that, and that's actually enhancing the darkness on the under eye area. It's not correcting it. So I definitely think there's a fault in that trend. I think a lot of people have misunderstood that if you do have some problem areas on the under eye area, especially darkness, then that kind of needs to be handled first. And so my recommendation is just to get a concealer that is about half a shade lighter than your actual skin tone. Obviously, if you have super dark circles, correctors are lifesavers. But yeah, just the whole 2 to 3, 4, 5 shades darker than your natural skin tone, that whole concealer trend, I am just over it. It does not have to be incorporated into your daily routine. If you want some brightness around your under eye area, half a shade to maybe 1 shade lighter is good enough. I'm going to ruffle some tail feathers with the next one, but number 2, I'm just going to go ahead and say baking. So baking, wow, 9 times out of 10, people are baking their foundation, their makeup nowadays. And it's a very relevant technique. I don't consider it to be a trend. It is very helpful. However, on the hundreds and hundreds of people that I've done makeup on in the past almost 10 years, not many of them will I bake their makeup. It takes a certain skin type, a very certain skin type, for me to bake someone's makeup. And so if you're the everyday person and you do not have excessive oils, you don't live in an extremely hot climate, baking really is not that necessary, especially if you are mature skin, dry skin, normal. Honestly, in my opinion, that just kind of enhances a lot of texture in the skin. Now on camera, looks phenomenal. If you're filming or you're doing photographs, it can really make your skin look extra smooth. But when you're looking at someone face to face in person, at least in my opinion, I can always tell when they've baked their makeup, because it is just, it's a look, honey. It is a look. And I know there's really natural ways of baking makeup. It doesn't always have to be overly excessive, pounding your face with a ton of white powder. But again, for that everyday person, if you are especially if you have been baking your makeup and you're kind of wondering why doesn't my skin look that great close up? It's probably because you're just in the normal to dry range, or possibly you have more mature skin. So baking your foundation, totally not necessary if you're just like everyday get up and go gal, get up and go guy. It's time and place kind of thing. Let's roll on into contouring because I feel like that's still a very popular trend and technique that, you know, still is very relevant today. My problem with the contour trend right now is that for a long time it was all about using that really bone ash kind of gray color to sculpt the cheeks. Again, really great if you are up on stage or you do really heavy makeup. You just like that super full coverage, like ultra sculpted look. Cool. But a lot of people I've noticed, like I'll see out in public, I'll see that kind of just like gray line going through just like an everyday makeup look. And it just looks very unnatural. In some ways, it can actually make you look a little sickly. It's got this almost like this morbid touch to it just because it is so cool toned and so gray. So what I tell people, especially those who aren't familiar with contouring, they're not really big on it, is pick up a bronzer that is super neutral, not gray, not ultra orange or, you know, overly warm, just something that's kind of in between. Slap it on, use it to define your entire face. We all know I throw on that Milk Makeup Cream bronzer stick and I'm like out the door and it gives you definition, not overwhelming, looks a little bit more natural. So yeah, I would definitely say, you know, if you are intimidated by the whole like contour palette setup where you've got your gray tones and then like your warm tones and your highlighter tones, just find something on the neutral side, use that to sculpt. And even if you feel like you need some more color to your skin, you can go over the top with something a little bit warmer. But the whole gray ash sculpting line look, I'm over it. This next thing I'm going to talk about is actually just a personal pet peeve of mine. It's something that is still a very relevant trend. I'm still seeing this in a lot of makeup launches, and that is really warm toned or red toned shadows. For example, Urban Decay Naked Heat Palette. They might as well have just thrown together 10 orange shades and 10 red shades and called it a day. I think reds, for no matter what skin tone you are, especially for just something that's going to be everyday, reds are the most unflattering and hard to work with. You can create really cool looks with red and warm tone shadows. And I'm not talking like, you know, a warm tone brown or even like a terracotta shade. I'm talking like these burnt red, burnt orange shades just are so freaking popular right now. The thing with extremely orange or red or just warm tone shadows in general is against skin, they can come off appearing a little bit or making you appear a little bit sickly, especially if you don't know how to manipulate them and kind of blend them to be a little bit more subtle, especially for an everyday look. And so I'm just tired of seeing shadow palette after shadow palette launch being 50 shades of orange, 50 shades of rust, 50 shades of red. So if you have a palette like Urban Decay Naked Heat, you got it, and it sat there and you're just looking at it like, what the F am I going to do with this? Don't worry. I feel you, girl. Reds are just, they aren't the everyday vibe. And I know I get it. Don't come for me. I get it. It's a personal opinion. But again, speaking in terms of user friendliness, the warm red tone shadows, for those of you who, you know, are just like out there looking for a good palette, looking for some good shades to use, definitely not the one I would recommend starting with. All right, so last trend I want to talk about, I would say it's safe to say that it's kind of died out. Probably will go at like a 70% level. I'm really glad to see that because I have just been dying for this look or this trend to be over with for a while, and that's Instagram brows. So what I mean by Instagram brows, you know what I mean, the overly defined, kind of crisp, perfect eyebrow look. Again, looks amazing on camera, looks amazing on film, but it kind of comes back to that you being face to face with someone. And in real life, it's kind of like that's all you can look at on someone's face when it's just so perfect and slick and smooth and, crisp. So, what I would say to someone who is, learning brows, learning how to fill in their brows, just start out with what you got. Start out with something natural, work your way up. It takes a while to learn your own brow shape. And God knows we go back and look at my videos. Not everyone's perfect. Still to this day, my brows are not perfect, but it doesn't mean you have to go through all these crazy steps to get perfect brows and extremely smooth and slick looking brows. Ultimately, in real life, it's just not what people's faces look like, and it's just not what your brows look like naturally anyways. So really glad to see a good natural brow making a comeback. That's what I'm trying to say. All right, so those are the trends and techniques I just wanted to touch base on that aren't exactly necessary for the everyday person and for the everyday routine. If you're someone who, just gets on YouTube occasionally to kind of learn some tricks, I'm sure these are things that you've seen people commonly do. And I just kind of wanted to reiterate that, some of these steps, again, they may not apply to you, and you may have tried them and you may have been like, why doesn't this look good on me? Again, it's kind of like a time and place thing with a lot of these things that I talked about. So a little bit of a different video, but I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions for me, leave them down below, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.